Speaking of homeowner associations, here's the Degdecarans.
They must have a terrible HOA.
Yeah. I thought we were like just leaving this place in the dust after we finished with the what you call it.
Right. I think we actually decided to camp outside.
Okay.
But certain people were astral projecting.
Yeah, you have to come back here eventually.
They don't know it's us. Stop being scared.
Yeah, Red's not scared.
So
Red doesn't feel fear.
you were given a rendezvous
Fear and
point
emotion.
for the White Snake after setting him free, so that you could
Yeah.
return to him his family staff that you liberated from Mitski. Do you actually make this rendezvous?
I think we should legend lore it before we return it.
It's a very nice stick.
I
Did
don't
you
see
guys
why
not
we wouldn't keep the
lose
rendezvous.
that spellstone? What spellstone did you guys throw down that well?
That was the ruins. The ruins.
Extract rune. Extract
Oh,
rune.
right. Okay, got it.
You know, the tool that was designed for us to be able to, get useful things. Yeah, no, Birdie threw that shit in the trash.
I didn't.
Okay,
throw
to
it-
be fair, he spasmed that shit in the trash.
Thank you. Not only that, but it was a grouply decided this is a decent idea, and I almost died. Thank you.
You almost die when we do anything. We go out to dinner
Yeah,
and you
like-
die.
I don't think that's actually true.
Also, I think Almost Die doesn't really buy you much in a party with Raazu.
Yeah, you kind of... Raazu's sympathy for almost dying is kind of not there.
I told my wife last night in the car one of the traps I have designed for this next dungeon, and she says, "You can't do that."
Oh God.
Oh, it's gonna be
Whatever.
fun.
I'll be worried once you say Nick helped with a couple.
Yeah.
At dirtbag.
I don't have any convenient way to get a hold of Nick anymore either. I wonder if he's hanging out with RPG advocates.
Man, I would watch
still
that
on Twitter.
TV show.
He's on Twitter. I mean, all you gotta do is just poke him and he'll respond.
Twitter.
I have to write fan fiction now where Nick meets RPG advocate. I'll get on that after the game today. Don't worry.
Alright, good night, everybody. We're not
Good
playing
Fan
D&D today.
friction.
We're done here. So you're going to make that rendezvous and return the staff.
Like I said, I think we should probably legend lore that thing before we return it, just to make sure we know what we're passing out of our hands here.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So, Birdie needs to know, and he's going to ask Red. It's like just I need to know so I can help if he needs me to, because Birdie's a helper. I need.
Is he really?
Pause to beat.
I need to know if Red is planning on stabbing this guy we're going to rendezvous if he gets the chance. I'm not like asking in front of everyone else. I just
Of course you're not.
Real quick, you stabbing this boy?
I mean,
Red was,
it's
Red
definitely a
Red's
fair
opinion-
question.
Red's opinion was that we
Yes.
should have done that, but since everyone else voted him down, he, at this point, has no immediate plans to stab him.
okay. I want to know because basic pattern recognition is a skill.
But no one has ranks in because it
Yeah,
doesn't
I think
actually
that's
it's not on the
perception.
character sheet.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
How many of you nerds have dark vision?
Red does.
Birdie does.
Like Adrex
Kinda?
and Wendy.
Oh,
Wendy doesn't have any vision.
You do
Wendy
not have
has
dark
just
vision.
light.
It's
If you have dark
Yeah,
vision,
it's-
roll me a perception check.
Should have memorized this one by now. There we go.
10.
That's a 30.
A 30?
So 17.
30.
You guys make the
no one
rendezvous
likes a show off.
where you agreed to meet White Snake out in the wilderness outside of the Degdecarans in places that the rat bandits either do not patrol or are easily evaded. Legend loring the staff, it doesn't have any magical artifact properties. It's just a staff with sentimental value to this particular person. It's probably highly valuable because of its age and the materials that it's made out of. But the item itself is not legendary. It's just a MacGuffin to give you guys an extra chore to do in that city.
What? Doesn't the Legend Lore spell tell that? It's just like, hey, this is just a MacGuffin created by God.
Well, the Legend Lore spell doesn't work on something that doesn't have legendary significance in the first place, which this staff does not. So theoretically, it wouldn't even work on magic items unless those items have what's the actual phrasing of it?
It's the briefcase from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, if the thing you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information. So you wouldn't be able to use. Yeah, it has sentimental importance to this person, and it probably has actual value if you were to try to sell it to somebody. But Birdie.
Yep.
Making this rendezvous, you're very much on edge. Something has set your hackles a-raising as you're turning over this staff to Whitesnake. His basic plan at this point, he looks much healthier now. He's been in the wilderness for a few weeks at this point. He's fashioned himself a spear to hunt with, and he's managed to scrounge up a bow on a pair of orcs that he took out, and several arrows. His plan right now is to subsist in the wilderness until summer, when he's stronger, and then travel south, away from Mutski. How much do you guys tell him about what you've accomplished in the Yuan-ti city?
I don't see why we shouldn't keep anything back.
I don't see why we should tell him.
I don't see any reason to give him any information.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
And tell him nothing?
Right.
Yeah,
We came, we saw, we killed a couple of people. Good job.
And does anybody tell him that you're holding a journal from his mate, from his ransacked dwelling space?
I guess I would actually. Would I give him that? I don't think I actually care.
Like, has Red hasn't had a chance to actually read that, has he?
I skimmed it. Yeah, could I have had a chance to have looked at that on the way back? I completely forgot about that.
Sure. And it's essentially a dream journal. Whitesnake had been having troubling revelations that you recognize as the Coatl attempting to contact him.
Okay,
And
yeah, I'll give it to him then.
he relayed this to his mate, who in turn put pen to page and attempted to keep this book hidden. Whitesnake doesn't want it when you tell him about it. In fact, he tells you that he would sleep easier knowing that that book had been burned. What he's afraid of are factions inside of the city finding it and then coming hunting for him.
Mm-hmm.
Birdie, while this is happening, something definitely has your hackles up, and you realize what it is. You see, scanning the tree lines around you, you catch what you think is a glint of movement in the shadows, and focusing your eyes there for a moment, there's somebody perched up in the branches, watching this conversation.
I'm going to signal to Red, and
what kind of signal?
Just a thieves can't, like kind of just pointing at the tree, kind of to indicate tree, and then like a like 10 o'clock direction, like 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Make a dexterity sleight of hand check to see if you can do this unnoticed.
How does a 32 do?
That's a pretty high number.
I like this dice. I'm keeping this D20. You can't have it.
I'm gonna take it.
Oh, That was, I think, the meanest thing you've done to me, Burkrow.
I'll do it again. See, watch. Red, what's your
Is
reaction?
that what happened?
This is while I'm talking to Whitesnake.
During the conversation, yeah, Birdie kind of gives you the signal that, hey, there's somebody up in that tree watching us.
I mean, I think Red would have no reaction. I would think Red would make a lot of effort to outwardly have no reaction.
I mean,
Okay. So
like,
what's
and
next?
Nah, forget it.
Have we already returned to the Warrens to get Adrex back and return these spikes?
We'll say that that's happened.
Okay.
Just because I don't see the point in going through and role-playing that scene.
Yay, I'm whole.
As far as the Dagdakarans are concerned, they won't know that you're the ones that sprung Whitesnake unless you tell them.
Right.
And the thing about rat folk is they do tend to go through their life events very quickly. And so by the time you've gotten back, as long as there's been no outward hostility towards them, probably they're just on to whatever the next thing is. Whitesnake is no longer current events.
Yeah, I'm ready to go on our way then, though I will make it a point to try and keep my eye on wherever this is and just observe. Where Birdie pointed something out.
Okay. Are you guys still bringing Rolf along with you?
This poor
Well,
guy.
I thought we were.
Unless he wants to stay at the Dagdakarans.
I thought we were.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
If you
Yeah,
leave
there's Rolf, and there was a bunch of guys we rescued from the
Yeah.
Yuan-ti
I
city.
thought we were going
Yeah.
to make the two of them one and send them all south.
Okay.
Send them packing.
Or did I just imagine that, or was that?
No,
a thing
you
we actually
were
agreed
going to
on?
send them to Huyan Swamp, right?
The
No.
shallow scale.
Was it Shallow Scale?
No, I don't think we were going to
I
send
already
them
had a
to...
plan for Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Right.
We hadn't come up with a plan for the people we got out of the city.
I mean, I would think that Shallow Scale I would maybe avoid after what went down with Huyan's father. So maybe instead to the Moakton village.
What would be a safer trip? Moakton or the Moakton village or Hedgehog Pastures?
Hedgehog is closer.
You guys actually have no idea if Hedgehog Pastures is safe. You haven't been back there since whatever you did at the beginning of the campaign, which was over a year ago now in game
Listen,
time.
Bricker,
think
when
we've
we solve
also-
problems, they stay solved forever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no problems never reiterate.
So
I
when you
thought we-
tried to pay somebody with gold and a bunch of mephits jumped out.
No consequences. That was unrelated.
If you never go back to where you've already been, there are no problems there.
Wow, that's like the philosophy of the shittiest adventure I can think of.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of bummed about that because I'd like to go back and see what the hell has happened to some of these places we've been.
No consequences.
So, for people who
I
don't
thought-
know, Hedgehog Pastures is a place that we decided that this group of adventurers met each other and they did something, but we've never defined what was done or
It's
what this
specifically
place
lesser
actually
Hedgehog
is.
Pastures.
Right, because there's also a
Listen-
greater Hedgehog Pastures.
It involves spaghetti somehow.
Weird.
I thought when this problem first came around with the first batch of humans, I thought we decided against lesser Hedgehog Pastures because that's still a monster city, and we wanted to put all of the humans together.
That's true, but here's the thing: we keep finding humans. It's a recurring problem that we need to deal with.
Well, I feel like a group of humans is different than one human, because one human is just another different type of monster.
So leaving...
That's true.
Realistically, leaving Rolf at the Dagdakarans is a thing you could do. What would end up happening is he would probably end up being a rather successful bandit amongst them because he's bigger and stronger than all of them.
Hmm.
But that's absolutely a
that's
thing
what-
that you could do.
If that's what he wants, that would be fine by me.
Well, no, here's the thing: the rat people suck. They're just not good people. And I'd rather not leave our Rolf with them.
Is that why it's
The,
okay?
the guy
for
who tried to
birds and
assassinate
eagles to
me
eat
and burn down the ship incompetently in the same move?
Listen, he's calmed down. He's mellowed since then.
Like,
He's gonna backslide. We let him with these rats.
so what you're saying is you should take him with, I guess, emergency rations, if nothing else.
You're backsliding too, real quick, Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie.
Okay, Red's vote is to send him to the Moakton village along with the Dragonborn and the guy who stole the treasure.
I like your idea, though, Red, that what we need to do is we need to save enough humans that we can just send them all to one, that they can found a new village.
I mean, there is a human village on this side of the wall, remember? It's
That's not a good one, though.
It's full of exiles, yeah.
To be fair, Rolf is a attempted murderer, and he was a pirate.
Okay,
And arson.
accused attempted murderer.
He's definitely an attempted. That's not questionable.
And he was without influence. We've been influencing him to do good.
Yeah,
Now he is good.
he's trying.
Yeah.
This is another problem that you've solved.
It's a work in progress.
Look,
I
if you want
do
to send him back to the
realize-
closest place, there's always the dam.
Oh yeah, that'll go over great.
Right.
Uh,
Or we put him on a raft and he just goes back to the pirate city.
No.
No, because the pirate city's in an impenetrable jungle.
the more we talk, the more I like this Moakton plan.
Okay.
So you're gonna send him back to the Moakton village just with a note pinned to his chest?
Listen,
And with the Dragonborn and the whatever else we rescued from
You're gonna just leave him out in a
Snake
basket?
Town.
we're gonna leave him out in a basket with a note to River Leaper saying, "Please."
I mean, if you want someone to go and do that, Raazu could facilitate that.
Okay. So the meeting with White Snake goes off, and you give him his staff, and he's like I said, his intention is to wait here throughout the spring when the river expands across the floodplains and then make his way south, either on foot or by skiff. Primarily just to put as much distance between him and the Lake of Snails as possible. He is
Makes
very
sense.
much, because you guys didn't tell him a lot of what went down in the city, his basic idea is that there are going to be bounty hunters from the city on his trail the entire time.
Honestly, I think the city would be more concerned with what's within rather than chasing down some renegade.
Right, but you guys didn't tell him a lot about what you did. You said you killed a few people and got out alive and got the staff, and you left it vague.
Okay.
You and Whitesnake part ways. A night or two later, as you guys are camping for the night, Birdie.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, something's got your hackles up halfway through your supper, and watching the fire that you've built, you suddenly see just a small explosion of just wood and flame as an arrow penetrates into the center of your fire, scattering some of the smolders and ash. And looking at the fletching of the arrow, you see tightly bound around it is a leaf of paper that will quickly burn up if you don't excise this arrow.
I'll grab the arrow out of the fire, I guess. By the end that is not in the fire.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. My wife is calling on the phone, and I have to answer. Hopefully, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
That seems reasonable.
So I want to point out character growth in Birdie, because remember when Birdie threw rocks at the pixies? So
Yeah.
I didn't shoot an arrow at the person in the tree. I want people to know that. I didn't just shoot first and didn't with no questions asked.
All right, but this doesn't.
You don't. Yeah, you're not let off the hook for that.
Well,
Be their cat.
it's just growth. It's
I want
gross.
to be clear about this, Birdie. This does not count as shooting second now.
Okay. Shortest phone call ever. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So, Birdie, you take this arrow, you pluck it from the fire.
Do I see anything from the direction it came from?
Roll a perception check.
How does a 31 do?
You look in that direction, but, I mean, you're looking through darkness and shadows and tree lines. Looking at the actual arrow, this is a flight arrow. This arrow is designed to be fired great distances. So, anybody who if you were to fire an arrow like this, you wouldn't do it from within 60 feet of your target.
Okay. What's the letter say?
Pull out the letter, and it simply says, "We have your share."
I'm confused and a little scared, and I'm going to wake everybody up now.
Okay.
I just
Bring
walk
everyone
around.
up to speed.
I gently shake Raazu, kick Adrex, and then shake Wendy and
How many times have I told you to do something about your hackles?
Do you bring anything up? Do you bring us up to speed with that?
well, yeah, I'm like showing the letter. Do we like
What
Our share
what letter
of
is the
what?
language in?
Common. Yeah, written in the common tongue.
is there anything?
Which direction did the arrow get fired from?
You know the direction it was fired from. You just wouldn't be able to say for sure without going out and searching.
I mean, I'd hold up a white flag, but dark vision. So yeah, Red'll just leave his pack there, stand up, and disappear off into the shadows in that direction. Probably head out about 120 feet, see if we can see anybody.
Okay, make
Go ahead and make stealth.
Yeah, make a stealth check. What's everybody else doing?
I mean, I'm holding my bow and
That'll
getting
be
ready
a
for fight.
24 on stealth.
Okay. What do you do with the fire? Leaving it burning?
What did you say?
Leaving the fire burn?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes,
Please,
because not
because-
all of us have. Yeah, night.
Yep.
But I'm going to
Exactly.
step outside of the line of the fire into the woods
Okay.
and hide as well.
Okay, make a stealth check.
Raazu picks up a piece of wood,
Oh, look at that.
Raazu,
waves it in the general direction of the where the arrow came.
when you go to
23.
get a piece of wood from the fire, you mean?
Yeah.
When you go to take a piece of wood from the fire, there's suddenly a second explosion of smolders and sparks as another arrow hits the campfire right in front of you. By this time, Red and Birdie have snuck off.
All right. What is there a message tied to this one?
There is another leaf of paper,
Raazu plucks the arrow, pulls the thing off.
and it says in the common tongue, "Where are you all going?"
Raazu lets out a whistle and
What's it say?
says, "Come back." It says, "Where are you all going?"
All right, just to be clear, whoever's watching, I'm blind, so if everyone else leaves, you're going to need to do something else.
Birdie didn't
Raazu-
leave. He's just outside of the circle of fire.
Okay. But, I mean, you left the illuminated area
Birdie.
and hid.
Hmm.
Raazu rolls her eyes. Again, goes to pick up a thing of a log and wave it in the general direction where that arrow came from.
Yeah, Adrex will take out the Feymore and ignite it.
Okay.
Hold it up like a torch.
Where's Red going? Just sneaking out about 120 feet in the direction of the arrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a... Actually, I gotta make some checks on my end. What was your stealth? 20-something?
24.
24?
It's the way Raazu sees it. Someone could put an arrow like that and into a fire like that. That's got some skill behind it, I'd say.
The way Wendy sees it, a campfire is a pretty big target. Come on, you're going to need to do something more impressive.
Yeah, all this means is that this NPC has sharpshooter. So sharpshooter, you have what, a 600-foot range that ignores partial cover.
Think it.
Red.
Yeah.
Moving in that direction, 100 feet or so. You notice you find a tree that has some bark recently sliced from it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trained in survival?
No.
No, okay. So all you notice is that this tree bark has been recently removed.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's what you see. What's next?
Red will wait out here.
Are you just hiding in this position?
Yeah.
Is anybody else back at the camp doing anything for the remainder of the night?
No, Wendy's just kind of
No.
resting.
Okay.
Best case scenario, someone shoots an arrow at her.
Raazu tried to get everyone to come back, but no, these guys are all skittish and stuff.
Whatever, maybe they just don't want to play the world's most long game of telephone.
Oh, mushy mushy.
Red.
Yeah.
As the sun begins to come up, very nearby you hear rustling sounds. Something large moving about. Somewhere off to your left, on the other side of this copse of greenery.
Yeah. Do I have line of sight to it or just hear it?
No, you've got some bushes and foliage in the way. You'd have to make your way over there. Right now you're just
Can
listening
I-
to it.
I'll try and move over there quietly, staying out of sight.
When you move over there, you see this little secluded area bounded on all sides by foliage. And you watch Arcadios, the bear man.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems like he's breaking a hastily constructed camp. He's putting things together for a day's march.
I'll let out a low whistle.
And you see his ears snap up as he hears the whistle. And he looks around, but he doesn't know where it came from because you're got a 43 on your stealth check or whatever it was.
And once he's paying attention, I'll step out of the shrubbery with my hands out, showing I don't have any weapons drawn.
And he looks you up and down. And he says, "If I were a younger man, you would not have caught me unawares."
I didn't mean to. Were you the ones who were sending arrows at our camp last night?
He tells you that he would have liked to make themselves known to you in the daylight. But PacDot thought that would be very, very dangerous. Considering any kind of, well, you know, the sorts of people that you are. Assassins and whatnot.
Fair enough. At any rate, no one's going to hurt you if you want to head over to our camp. And I'll kind of wave him and start walking there myself, not make any attempt to hide.
And at that, you hear a shrill voice high up above you in the branches that calls down, "Your camp, do you have any cooked meat?"
I don't know, you have to ask Wendy.
And he says, "The
This
big
time-
one won't
this
let
time
us
in the
build a
morning,
fire."
Probably not yet. This time in the morning, maybe in an hour. And yeah, I'll walk back to camp.
Okay. As you leave them, he's got this large sack, essentially, that seems to have quite a lot of weight, girth to it, that he's lifting with some difficulty up over his shoulders. He tells you that Eldira has gone off before the sun came up in order to find a meager breakfast.
Mhm.
but that they know the way. They'll be along shortly.
All right.
Okay.
So, Birdie, you sit there in your hiding spot watching your camp, anxious, with your hackles up all night, and then Red comes back and says, "Oh yeah, it's just those guys."
Just that bunch of nerds.
Am I misremembering, or did we already get our share of the treasure from the Yuan-ti city?
They gave us something.
They gave us some magic stuff.
And some gold, right?
I don't know about
no
the
coin.
gold.
Oh, okay.
No coin, just these magic things that Packdot could make use of.
What's for breakfast, Birdie? Got any meat?
Like maybe I could find some eggs.
Sorry, Windy.
Brady's offering
Racist.
some eggs.
Okay.
There is a subreddit that I read sometimes called RPG Horror Stories, where people make up horror stories that didn't actually happen to them.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm considering going there and telling the horror story about how I ran a campaign once where I had a bird player who wasn't named Birdie.
Oh, golly gee.
It's pretty horrible. Whitney, what are you making for breakfast?
Well, Birdie found some eggs, and then there's always squirrels. Listen, there's always squirrels.
After a half hour or so, as you guys are getting your breakfast cooking, doing your morning routine, which I imagine for Adrex means painting his toenails, Arcadius, Packdot, and the Red Dragonborn emerge. And Arcadius, again, is carrying this huge bundle on both of his shoulders. This great weight. And he sets it down very gingerly next to him as they arrive at the camp. And Eldura, the Dragonborn, is the first to speak. He says, "We spent these past weeks being very careful. We've killed no small number of Yuan-ti escapees, outriders. One that we've been shadowing for several days." And then he looks down at Packdot and says, "Last night, this one spied you from a distance, having words with him, but leaving him alive."
Which... Oh, he wasn't in the city.
He's an exile.
I didn't think it was wise either.
He's the one who told us how to find the city and where to get out. Well, everyone.
Basically,
He helped us.
yeah, we kind of owe him for all of the good information he gave us to get into the city. And
Also, he's working for Red's God for a minute. I don't know. I find it very complicated.
Eldura looks down at Packdot and says, "In that case, it is good that you didn't fire when you had the chance." Packdot doesn't say anything, but he gives the Dragonborn a look that lets you guys know there's no love lost between these two. This rat folk does not enjoy his Dragonborn's presence much at all.
So, where are the rest
What's in
of
the
your
bundle?
people?
Who are you asking when you ask about the bundle?
the bear man.
The bear man?
Yeah.
Arcadius clears his throat. He beckons you over and says, "Come and see." At this, you see Packdot's face light up, and he just gets this big grin, and he rubs his little rat paws together as he watches Raazu go over to this bundle. Like, he can't wait for her to see what's in here.
Yeah, Raazu will go and open up the bundle.
And inside are a large quantity of skins. And looking at them, you realize these are Yuan-ti skins. These are scaly, leathery, like the flesh taken off of recently killed Yuan-ti. Arcadius tells you that the scales of the snake people are not particularly hard, but they are malleable. He thinks that after curing the leather, he'll be able to make suitable armor out of these scales. Nothing that would stop a spear or a sword, but something you could move in.
Okay.
Red, make an insight check.
Yeah.
Is
This is pretty macabre.
Can I make that same insight check?
No, because you're not a Yuan-ti.
Okay.
That's a 26.
A 26? It would have to be a very skilled armorer with some sort of magical skill to do that. Because if Yuan-ti's scales were just made naturally good armor, you would have a naturally good armor class. And you don't.
That was also Adrex's assumption, because he is a ranger and would know that kind of shit, but whatever. It's alright.
I don't have it. I guess I'll just point out that I don't. I mean, you'd probably get some sort of leather out of it, but I don't know that it would be any better than the hide of a deer or a cow.
And Eldira, the Dragonborn, says, in any event, better we wear them than they do. At this, Eldira kind of nudges Packdot, who very grudgingly takes a sack of coins and a small box, a small black box wrapped up in twine. And he approaches Birdie. Eldira said that he doesn't believe that... I mean, when he hooked up with Packdot in Arcadius and was told what Packdot thought your share of the take from the treasury was, Eldira decided it wasn't fair. And so he instructed Packdot to make you whole. Packdot does not look happy about this.
That's why he's pissed off.
Birdie, he hands you, in one hand, a sack of coins, and the other, this small wooden box wrapped in twine.
I mean, Birdie is going to drop the coins and open the box.
Okay. And opening the box, inside it has two smaller, like, slotted compartments for two other items to sit. I'm sorry. No, two items to sit. One is essentially this little reef of leather with a snap that you can take out and roll it like maybe a long leather cigar and snap it so that it's sturdy. The other spot is a round metal ring with a glass lens in it. And when you pull it out, you see a much smaller lens sitting in a smaller compartment underneath. After a few moments, you affix this together, and you're holding a very nicely made spyglass.
I mean, I immediately put it to my eye and start looking at the sky.
And you go blind because you're not supposed to look at the sun with one of these things. What the hell?
I
is
don't
your
look
problem?
at the sun.
You didn't say you didn't look at the sun.
I assumed he looked at the sun.
I did too. No, looking through the spyglass, make an Arcana check. I know you're trained in Arcana.
Oh, that's a nat 20 plus 11, so
Listen to this
31.
guy.
A 31?
Listen to this guy.
You have some minor experience with this sort of device because you served aboard the Deceit for a while. So while it wasn't your job to look through spyglasses, there were some around. And the problem with them, they do allow you to see a great distance, but any sort of inclement weather makes them very difficult to use. Like if there's a fog bank, this spyglass is not going to do you any good. Looking around today, as you cast this spyglass and look up, it's almost as though the weather patterns don't matter at all. You have a clear view of an enormous distance in every direction. And in fact, when you peer up at the sky, it's almost as though the branches of the trees and leaves part to give you a clear view. Eldira speaks up. He says when Packdot explained that he had already given you the pieces of magical equipment that he had taken, figuring you had more use for them, but then described to me the purpose of this item, I thought that you should have it.
Like, what? I'll ask him, what do they know about its function? As I turn around and look at Raazu with it.
And you look at Raazu and you see that
You see
like,
Raazu's nostril.
the pores on her face. She doesn't exfoliate properly. Raazu's nostril, there's like a nose hair dangling out of it with a smaller Raazu clinging to it. And Eldira responds that they know just what you've seen. It's a spyglass that seems to have some sort of enchantment on it. Every time you look through it, it's as though the skies were clear. It'll work in fog and in storm and even in darkness.
That's really good. Thank you for the gift. That's very nice of you.
And I sleight of hand it into my pockets.
Eldira corrects Raazu. It's not a gift. This is your take of the treasury. Pac-Dot agreed to give you the magical items. And then he motions to the coin. And then I instructed him to part with some measure of coin as well.
Raazu scoops up the coin.
Okay. There is a sack of 400 gold pieces.
Okay.
Birdie, if you want the spyglass, just ask. You don't
That's
have
spyglass.
I don't think he's asked.
He's cashed it.
Like, I think it's already happened. Like, you can't.
I mean, if somebody wants the spyglass, like the only person that I would get angry if they asked they wanted the spyglass would be Wendy.
Dick.
Wendy looks over at him. Why?
So what are the other escapees that where are they at right now?
He says for the time being, they're at a safe place. They've been scouting the area, the three of them, essentially looking for any of the Yuan-ti who are trying to wrangle up escaped slaves.
Okay. Would we have had the opportunity to legend lore the panpipes at some point?
Yeah, we did.
You legend lord the whip.
Well, yeah, we didn't do the panpipes. That's kind of what I'm getting at here.
The basic function of these panpipes is to essentially issue commands to any slaves that bear the mark of that particular city. If you were to attune to these items and then use them, Eldira and Arcadius would have to do whatever you instructed them to do.
Yeah. The question I have regarding this is, if we were to destroy one of these items, would the other become completely inert?
You have no idea.
Well, Raazu takes out the panpipes and says, "Do you know what these are?"
You see Eldira straighten his back a little bit. And he just gives you a nod, but doesn't say anything.
Raazu sets the panpipes down on a rock, takes out her trident,
Okay.
and goes to shatter him.
With a trident?
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably spear them.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea is I'm going to break these things.
You need a fucking hammer to do that.
Yeah, we left the fucking hammer in.
We lost the fucking hammer. Damn it.
You didn't lose it, you gave it away. As I recall.
You know exactly where it is.
I mean,
You guys
throw it
Raazu
in the
looks-
fire.
That'd be a more thorough way to destroy them and throw them in the fire, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then Raazu will will look a little frustrated after stabbing at this thing for a second, and then just shrug and drop it in the
You
flames.
stab it, then hold your trident over the fire like you're roasting a marshmallow. And after a moment, the panpipes catch fire, and you hear this haunting music escape from them as the material burns and the smoke passes through the pipes. And you watch for a moment as Eldira and Arcadios kind of bristle and wince in pain as the things are destroyed. But the moment passes, and they break apart and fall into the fire.
Raazu looks at them and says, "I don't see any slaves in front of me."
Their basic intention for now is to continue hunting down any slavers coming out of the city looking for escaped slaves.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been some discussion. Arcadios wants to remain in the area because he's more worried about forces in play in the city than he is about slavers coming out and capturing them. He considers it his duty to find out more about it. He was one of the taskmasters in the fighting pits. And he reveals to you that he knows quite a bit about this ladder that you've heard of.
Okay.
The factioning inside of the Yuan-ti city was such that this ladder, which is spoken of with almost religious significance, was meant to be utilized by one of these factions as a way to create and control more power. But by the other faction, the Kobold side, it was something to be guarded against, something that could damage or destroy the city. Now that there is open war in the city, and it's very unclear which of these two factions will take charge, he's worried that whatever is gated there at the top of this ladder could potentially escape out into the city where the Yuan-ti will be overrun by it.
So it's not like a metaphorical ladder?
He's not 100% sure, because he's a slave. This is something that he's put together over... He's been enslaved for a couple of years. It's something that he's put together in bits and pieces, overhearing the Yuan-ti speak of it.
Something you should maybe ask Whitesnake about.
He says it's possible... It's his understanding that, in at least one sense, it's a physical ladder. And that's when he asks what you guys know about Wizard's Folly.
All we know is that there was some entity up there called the Lord of Blades that vanished at some point, but maybe had just gone to to marshal its forces again, and has started to take steps out into the world again. That's basically what we've come across in our travels.
Arcadius tells you that all men of the North know the stories of the Lord of Blades, and at this he kind of casts a glance in Adrex's direction.
Raazu looks at Adrex.
Adrex is picking his teeth.
Better than his nose, to be honest.
Well, he's doing that with the other hand. And Birdie's down there with the spyglass, watching upward. Enthralled.
Sorry, what? Huh?
Arcadius tells you that if the Yuan-ti, if Mutski has a ladder, the only thing such a ladder would mean to do is climb the cliffs into Wizard's Folly.
Oh man, are we talking about the stairway to heaven again? I don't get it, man. It doesn't make sense to me.
Wait, you were talking about climbing cliffs. That makes sense. That's just... I mean, you could fly. That'd be easier, but you guys have difficulty with that.
Arcadius assures you that no, he cannot fly.
I love how Wendy does that the same way that everybody just takes for granted that she can see. It's so good.
Arcadius, you could do anything you set your mind to.
He tells you at present what he sets his mind to is essentially because nobody else is really equipped to do this, essentially keep eyes on the outskirts of Mutski, on the ravines. Because in one hand he wants to aid any other slaves that manage to escape in the chaos, and on the other he wants to... This is more Eldira's thing, but wants to punish any slavers coming out of the city who would seek them. But at the same time, you get the sense that Arcadius feels that he has this sense of duty to ensure that whatever evil is at the top of these cliffs does not come down this ladder through the Yuan-ti city.
Well, I like your side of the plan. We could help you with the ladder thing.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to support your slave hunting action.
Or,
Is there-
Packdot says, we can take the vast amount of treasure and wealth that we have and go south and live like kings in no danger. And he's looking around for any agreement amongst the present company.
Why would you do that? That's not good.
We already had enough treasure before this.
Raazu
Is there any mention of the ladder in the Dream Journal?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is there any mentions of this ladder in the Dream Journal?
There are, but only in passing.
Okay.
And not really enough to piece a lot of information together.
Okay. So, I like the cut of your jib, Packdot, but unfortunately, things around the lot of us, Raazu gestures to herself and her companions, things that happen around us that generally prevent those kind of things.
At this point, Aldira chimes in. He says that there was a prayer spoken in an archaic version of the Yuan-ti language, something they speak with reverence. It's the only known religious speech that mentions this ladder. But he doesn't have a translation of it, because he doesn't have a connection to these old archaic forms of Yuan-ti.
Look to Red. Maybe you can fill in the gaps.
I mean, is there anything about it that makes sense to me?
Make a history check. Call it intelligence history.
It'd be a 3.
A 3? You recognize some of the words, but only in the sense that, like, an English-speaking Catholic person would recognize some Latin words. Like, you've heard them in certain contexts, and you associate them with those contexts, but you don't know the actual translation. The other barrier would be that even though you do speak the Yuan-ti tongue, you're not from this particular tribe of Yuan-ti.
Mm-hmm.
Aldira, when he sees that you don't recognize what the words mean, he says, perhaps next time we come across one of their band of slavers, we can take them prisoner, put the question to them before we skin them.
What? You can't skin someone who's going to help you.
And at that,
absurd.
Arcadius pats the giant bag, like he begs to differ with you, sir.
It's not help if you're. I mean, they're not helping you, Adrex, if you're skinning them alive, and you know.
Yeah, don't skin them if they're helping you. That's what I'm saying.
And Arcadius
not help.
corrects Birdie. They're not skinning them alive. They're taking the skins after they're dead.
Right.
Arcadius
Oh,
is too
awesome.
honorable a man to be torturing these people.
Though they did enslave them. No, I guess
I'd
that's
say they're
fine, actually.
justified. Raazu rubs her neck and says, "Yeah, I think they're justified."
I don't like it, but I get it.
I mean, you get more information if you. You know what? Birdie looks around at the room, left and right. He goes, "Never mind."
And Packdot chimes up, says, "What about their white friend, the one you made me let live?"
Leave him be.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, we could ask him.
That's what Packdot's saying. If you all are so chummy with this one, why don't you go see if he knows what it means?
I don't see any harm in it.
No, nor I.
Sure. Why not?
At this, Arcadios offers you his hand, and he tells you whereabouts in the swamps you can find this small camp that he and the rest of the escaped slaves are using for the time being. And tells you that any aid or assistance you need while you're in the area, you need but ask.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else you guys have for the unlikely trio here before setting off?
Mm-mm.
Nope, I think we gotta go talk
No?
to Whitesnake again.
Okay. Somebody make me a survival check. I have to actually go dark for just a couple minutes because my wife just
All right.
walked in the door. I'll be right back.
Why did I roll? That was dumb.
Raazu is trained in survival, so you could make it an advantage, I think. Hopefully.
Well, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I am also trained in survival, and that was my whole thinking of, I will do it! I am trained in survival! Oh, wait.
I can do it! I can do it 9 times!
Oh, wait.
Adrex going, I'm gonna range.
Every time I roll, it's no greater than 3.
I mean,
You
that's
rolled
what I
pretty
was getting
good
at
last
earlier.
session.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was getting at earlier, because freaking Treble, man. You gotta pace yourself with your high dice rolls, buddy. You're just making
Yes.
us look bad.
Yeah, because I have.
You're making us look bad here.
I mean, part of it is I have like plus 11 or 12 because proficiency.
Yeah, but you're wasting your 20s and shit on that.
I didn't like. I'm not wasting anything. You are like saying like it's a finite resource that I have control over.
It absolutely is a
Comparable to
finite
Penguin using
resource.
that.
It is absolutely a finite resource that you do not have control over. But that's not going to stop me from yelling at you about it.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I think you've spent the entire campaign yelling at me.
Guys, I rolled a 19.
So the story goes, Peanut got pee on her shoes, so she got to go home from work early today.
Is that how that goes?
Okay.
That's how that goes. If you get pee on your shoes, you go
Yay!
home early.
That's a victory right there.
So
Who peed on her?
we don't need to get into that. What's this survival check doing?
Am I within? No, never mind. It's do you? I rolled a 8.
You rolled an 8,
Yeah.
which turns into
Here's
what?
No, that's the final total.
That's the final total. Okay.
Here was my request that Raazu is also trained in survival. Could he make it at advantage?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
That's what I was trying to say, and then all of a sudden my tongue stopped working. That is a 22.
22.
Okay.
That's a better number.
It's a way better number.
It takes you 4 days. And it's difficult going because you're tracking through marshland, which is neither of your preferred terrain. But you do manage to come across Whitesnake again. And he does seem surprised as you approached him. Like he wasn't expecting you to seek him out anytime soon. He also is completely oblivious to how close to death he came with the escaped slaves.
We should probably tell him to leave sooner than he planned.
He's already planning on leaving, I think.
I mean, he was planning on staying for like, the entire.
When the river floods, he's going to head south.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably get out of. You should probably get out of Dodge a little sooner than that.
Is this what
It's
you?
about to become
Is this
very
what you
dangerous
come out
for
to tell me?
Yuan-ti. Well, that and we also have a question for you
He nods.
about a ladder. We heard a lot of references and allusions to a ladder in the city.
He says that he has seen. He's had troubling dreams that he would prefer to forget about.
Don't forget about them yet, because they're probably relevant.
So what do you ask him?
What? Well, I guess that's a good start. Is what was the what did you see in the dreams?
He tells you that some number of his people, and perhaps your associate here, motioning to Red, will understand, receives visions from a warring god. And he essentially describes the same phenomenon that Red has had. How he worshipped a red star and then came to know the Coatl that was redirecting prayers and worship from it in order to direct the Yuan-ti to a different path. But whereas Red